A new perspective on obstacles. We all hit roadblocks, whether it's a career setback, a relationship struggle, or just life not going according to plan. But what if, instead of seeing these obstacles as barriers, we viewed them as stepping stones? This is exactly what The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is about. Inspired by ancient Stoic philosophy, this book teaches us that obstacles aren't just hurdles to overcome. They are the way forward. Rather than trying to bulldoze through challenges or avoid them altogether, Holiday suggests that the obstacles themselves carry hidden opportunities. It's like life handing you a puzzle. The very struggle to solve it is where growth and success lie. Part 1. Perception. Training your mind to see clearly. Picture this. You're stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. What's your first reaction? Panic? Frustration? Stress? These are natural responses, but they also cloud your judgment. Holiday argues that most of our suffering comes not from the obstacle itself, but from how we perceive it. To master perception, we need to step back and view situations as they are, free from emotion and exaggerated fears. It's about shifting from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What can I do with this?" Think of someone like Steve Jobs, who didn't crumble when he was fired from Apple. He used it as a launchpad to build something even better, which eventually led to his return and Apple's iconic rise. Example: imagine a rock in the middle of a stream. Water doesn't stop when it hits the rock. It flows around it, over it, and sometimes even reshapes it. The rock represents obstacles, and the water is your mindset. You can learn to flow with challenges instead of letting them block your path. Key lesson: learn to separate the event from your interpretation of it. Train your mind to stay objective, and you'll find that most obstacles are far less intimidating than they first seem. Part 2. Action, the power of doing. Once you've adjusted your perspective, it's time to act. But not all action is created equal. Holiday emphasizes the importance of strategic, purposeful, action-think chess moves, rather than chaotic flailing. It's about breaking the problem down, focusing on what you can control, and relentlessly moving forward. Consider the story of Amelia Earhart. In a time when female pilots were virtually unheard of, she faced enormous barriers. Instead of waiting for the perfect opportunity, she seized every small chance to fly, even if it meant lesser roles. Eventually, this persistence led her to become the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. She didn't let the lack of ideal circumstances stop her. She kept taking action, one step at a time. Analogy: life is like climbing a mountain. The peak may seem far away, but all that matters is the next step. One step, then another, and eventually you're at the top. Obstacles might force you to take a detour, but the only way you truly fail is if you stop moving. Key lesson: don't let overthinking or fear paralyze you. Break the obstacle into manageable parts, focus on what you can do right now, and keep moving forward, even if progress is slow. Part 3. Will. Cultivating inner resilience. Will is the backbone of resilience. It's what allows you to endure when things are out of your control. We've all faced situations where, no matter how hard we try, the outcome is uncertain. But Stoicism teaches that, while you can't always change what happens, you can choose how you respond. Holiday shares stories of figures like Nelson Mandela, who remained resolute through 27 years of imprisonment. He could have become bitter, but instead, he maintained a vision for a better South Africa. This unshakable will is what transformed him from a prisoner into a symbol of freedom. Analogy: think of willpower as the roots of a tree. The tree might bend in the wind, but its roots keep it grounded. Similarly, your inner strength helps you stay firm and focused, even when external circumstances are harsh. Key lesson: strengthen your will by practicing patience and resilience. Your attitude towards obstacles can make all the difference in how you handle them. Real-life application: putting Stoic principles to work. Reading about Stoicism is one thing, but living it is another. The philosophy sounds empowering in theory, but in the heat of the moment, when frustration, fear, or uncertainty kick in, it's easy to fall back into old habits. Here's how to integrate the key principles of perception, action, and will into everyday life. 1. Perception practice. Start small. The next time something annoying happens, a long line at the grocery store, a difficult coworker, an unexpected bill pause, and practice reframing. Ask yourself, what's within my control here? Is this as bad as I'm making it out to be? By constantly training your mind to look at obstacles differently, you build the mental muscle for bigger challenges down the road. Example. Let's say your project at work just hit a major snag. Instead of panicking or complaining, shift your perspective. View the setback as an opportunity to improve your problem-solving skills or even impress your team with your adaptability. 2. Action strategy. When facing obstacles, break them down into bite-sized tasks. Don't get overwhelmed by the big picture. Focus on what you can do today, even if it's a tiny step. Consistency is key. Holiday highlights that taking consistent small actions over time compounds into significant progress. Example. If you're launching a new business and everything feels like it's falling apart, website issues, no clients yet, financial strain, identify one thing you can tackle today. Maybe it's refining your marketing, reaching out to potential clients, or brainstorming fresh ideas. Keep chipping away one piece at a time. 3. Willpower in action. This is the hardest part to apply because it requires mental endurance. Life doesn't always give immediate results, and setbacks can be draining. The trick is to detach from the outcome and focus on maintaining a calm and determined mindset. Develop daily practices like meditation, journaling, or even just a few moments of quiet reflection to build resilience. Example. Suppose you've been working on self-improvement, learning a new skill, getting healthier, or building a better relationship, but progress is slow. It's easy to get discouraged. But remember, the Stoic approach is to stay patient and trust the process. Growth is often invisible until it suddenly isn't. Common challenges. Why the Stoic approach isn't always easy. 1. Emotional hijacking. When something goes wrong, our first reaction is usually emotional anger, fear, disappointment. In those moments, it's incredibly tough to pause and think logically. Holiday emphasizes that it's normal to feel those emotions, but the goal is to not be controlled by them. The key is to catch yourself before your emotions dictate your actions. Tip. Practice a breathing pause. When you feel an emotional surge, take a few deep breaths and ask yourself, what's the best move I can make right now? This small habit can be a game changer. 2. Paralysis by analysis. When facing a big challenge, we sometimes overthink to the point where we don't act at all. Holiday argues that action is often the antidote to fear and indecision. You don't have to see the whole path. Just start with the first step. Remember, momentum builds with action, not with endless planning. Tip. If you're stuck, commit to taking the smallest possible action, even if it feels insignificant. The act of doing gets the wheels turning. 3. Control freak syndrome. We love to control everything, but the Stoic approach teaches us to accept what we can't change. This is where most people struggle. Letting go of the need to control outcomes and focusing on how we respond instead takes practice. It's about being proactive in what you can control and letting go of the rest. Tip. Identify one thing in your life right now that's beyond your control. Someone's opinion of you, a delayed project, etc. Focus on controlling your reaction instead of stressing about the uncontrollable. The underlying philosophy, Stoicism as a way of life. At its core, The Obstacle is the Way is more than just a self-help book. It's an introduction to a Stoic way of living. The philosophy is rooted in the idea that we don't control what happens to us, but we do control how we respond. By embracing challenges rather than resisting them, we not only grow stronger, but also find a sense of peace and purpose in the process. The Stoic Triangle: perception, action, will. Think of these 3 principles as a triangle. Perception helps you see the obstacle clearly and objectively. Action empowers you to tackle it with determination and creativity. Will gives you the endurance to keep going, even when the outcome is uncertain. When you bring all 3 together, you create a mindset that sees obstacles as fuel, not as barriers. Closing thoughts. Embrace the journey. Life is unpredictable, but the Stoic approach teaches us that within every challenge lies the seed of growth. By mastering perception, taking consistent action, and developing an unshakable will, you can turn every obstacle into a path forward. In the end, what Ryan Holiday wants us to understand is that obstacles aren't just roadblocks. They are the road itself. By mastering how we perceive challenges, taking thoughtful action, and cultivating resilience, we can turn setbacks into opportunities. Life's challenges are like weights at the gym. They may seem heavy, but lifting them builds strength. So, the next time life throws an obstacle in your way, remember, it's not just something to get past. It's the very thing that will shape you into who you're meant to be. Thank you for listening.